the percentage of customers that would not engage with a brand if the communications wasn't personalized. And that's now up to 18%, where they would be like, if the message is generic, if it doesn't feel that it's right for me, I'm not going to engage. The value that you can get by combining email with TikTok, email with Instagram, or the wider meta channels, by increasing bids on keywords, by syncing it to CRM data, the results speak for themselves.
Our automation revenue when I first came on board was sitting at 30% and campaign revenue was at 70%. Now it's flipped. So automation is about 70% and campaign revenue is 30%. And for marketers out there listening to this, that's where you should be hitting.
Welcome to Add to Cart, Australia's leading e-commerce podcast that express delivers all you need to know in the fast-moving world of online retail. Here's your host, Bushy.
Welcome to another episode of Add to Cart. I'm Bushy and I'm joining you from the land of the terrible people, otherwise known as Brisbane, Australia. On Add to Cart, we welcome everyone to share and listen to e-commerce stories. The more diverse, the better. I want to especially welcome the traditional owners and the original storytellers of the land that we are on, our Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander listeners, to join us in our e-commerce conversations and our community. Hello and welcome to another very special bonus exclusive episode of Add to Cart. Today's episode is brought to you by Amasis, and we are talking about personalisation, email marketing, CRM data, customer segmentation, artificial intelligence. We cover a lot. And I kind of might have gone off script for them, but there is so much practical advice in today's episode that it would be remiss of me not to cover it all. So first up, we have Justin Bausch, CRM manager at Ryderwear, the fitness apparel brand. Founded in 2009, the brand's range is specifically designed to mold to the muscular physique of athletes and bodybuilders of any size to ensure comfort and style. I could really relate to that one. In recent years, Ryderwear has developed 4 gym locations in South Australia, and Justin has a lot to say about his no-nonsense approach to marketing and how he leverages the Amasis tool to better serve the Ryderwear customer. And despite what it might sound like, Justin is not paid by Amasis. I actually had to check afterwards, but it is fascinating to hear how he is leveraging every little bit of value out of the platform as he can, and is getting amazing results as a one-man band. Joining Justin is Tom Harris, Chief Revenue Officer at Amasis. Tom supports leading global brands to realize their greatest personalization and omnichannel aspirations, and he loves it so much, he's been doing it at Amasis for 10 years. He's based in London, and we are very lucky to have caught him on a trip over here in Australia. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say that this episode probably has the most practical tips of any exclusive we've ever recorded. Whether you are using the Amasis platform or whether you're using another customer marketing platform, you are going to get so much out of this in terms of practical tips that you can implement in your business today. Also, Justin just has a way with words, so entertainment value is very high. Now, if you enjoy today's episode and you want more content like it from other Amasis customers from around the globe and other industry experts, make sure you sign up to the 2-day Power to the Marketer online omnichannel and AI masterclass on the 12th and the 13th of June. You can get access to those 2 days packed full of content at amasis.com. That's EMARSYS.com. The link is in the events section at the bottom of the homepage, and we'll have the link in our show notes as well. All right, let's get into it. Thanks to Amasis for bringing us this conversation. Here's Tom Harris, Chief Revenue Officer at Amasis, and Justin Bausch, CRM Manager at Ryderwear. Justin and Tom, welcome to Add to Cart.
Thanks for having me.
Hello there.
Gents, brilliant to have you here. We're going to talk all about optimizing customer segmentation, email communication, all types of customer communication. But first, I want to cover off your personal stories and what you guys are doing. We'll get into the businesses that you run, but firstly, in our pre-chat, we talked about, Tom, this is your first podcast that you've done. You've said no to a lot before you've come onto this one. And Justin, apparently you just go on everything.
I try to when invited.
Yeah, but Nathan, I was listening to your stuff for a while, And then obviously you interviewed Dan Ferguson recently from Adore Beauty. And I just, found the conversation just super natural. I really enjoyed the value I think that people would have got out from that conversation as well, listening to how they think about loyalty and profitability. And so it's fantastic to be on your podcast today. I'm very excited.
Well, thank you. We'll be kind to you as your first podcast. And obviously, Adore Beauty, great Amasis story, but we're going to go up. We're going to challenge Dan and we're going to take it to the next level here. So, Justin, give us the Ryderwear story. Obviously, really successful gym activewear brand. Tell us about Ryderwear and your point of difference.
Yeah, so Ryderwear was first brought out by the founder, David, and he built it with his wife. And it went from like a small kind of gym bodybuilding apparel, and now it's completely expanded. So I think our audience base is 70% female and 30% male now. So it's definitely transformed in that space. But we've gone from a small apparel brand to now like a big global one. We operate primarily in AU, US and UK. And we've now expanded into our own gyms as well. So we've got about 8 gyms across Australia in SA and WA. And we're now looking at entering different states as well. So it's very exciting to incorporate that kind of online and offline space. You can walk into one of our gyms, shop our apparel at the front, use loyalty points and everything like that. So the next phase for us with the Masters is going to be really exciting. Being able to walk in, scan your gym membership, get points for that, all that type of stuff that's on the horizon. So it's really exciting.
That's pretty cool. And do you have physical stores outside of the gyms as well?
We don't. We found that just focusing on the gyms and making them stores itself is probably like the best kind of way to capture our market.
Yeah, great. And what's your role at Ryderwear?
Yeah, so I'm the CRM manager. So I look after all the emails that go out, as well as the automations, looking at the data, how it works, and just all that fluff around the automations and all that stuff.
I've never heard someone in a data role say that it's all that fluff. It's usually the brand people who are saying that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will say that a lot of digital marketing is fluff, but data may not be fluff. I do try and make data-driven decisions as well.
Lovely. And we're going to get into that in detail today. Tom, you are in Australia gracing our shores. What brings you out this way?
Yeah, being with the team over here in Sydney now. But before then, I was actually over on the Gold Coast at an event where I was meeting a big percentage of our customers. I think there was about 20 to 30 customers there, and then there's a couple of hundred of potential new customers. So it's been fantastic to spend some time over here with the customers and the team. And I always love coming over here. There's just this warmth and this friendliness to collaborate and to innovate and to share ideas and learning. So I always love coming over here. I always leave with a book full of ideas, like I was telling you earlier, to take back. So
you picked your moments well, just timing it out for a little conference on the Gold Coast. Sounds like
exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's such hard work.
So tell me about your role. You've been at Amasis for 10 years. That is amazing in our industry to be at one spot for 10 years. Can you tell us about your role at Amasis and why you've stayed for so long?
Yeah, so I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Amasis. So I have been here for a fairly long time. I mean, I kind of break it down into 3 areas. Number one, the industry that we work in continues to change and accelerate. And so it doesn't feel like I've been at one place. It feels like I've been at multiple places because there's just been so many different phases to Amasis' growth, but also the growth in the industry and the rising marketer, digital marketer, CMO, CDO expectations, but then also the rising customer expectations as well that we're constantly keeping up with or trying to foresee and trying to predict so that we can give the best service to our customers. So the first one is speed of change.
Yep.
The next one is the Amasis platform and the product that we provide. Whenever we're launching new features, new capabilities, we're always starting with the customer, the value that it will provide for the customer. And that's just where I want to be. I don't want to be a provider that's, providing capabilities and functionalities that's not going to ultimately get adopted or used.
Yep.
I want to provide something that's really meaningful and delivering value to the customer. So that's that box ticked. And then, we've got an incredible team. So the last one is people. Definitely not last in the order, but in terms of the points I'm saying, but the people at Amasis, they roll up the sleeves, make sure that we're hands-on with the customer, hands-on with the business. We've got this great culture of providing feedback and insight and this real growth mindset that I just think is special and unique. So those are the 3 for me.
Makes a lot of sense. And I love your point around the business isn't the same business as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it has evolved.
Definitely
so much.
not.
So that makes a lot of sense. All right, let's get into the topics that we want to discuss today. I really want to start first with customer understanding, because I think that's something a lot of retailers are really struggling with, because we seem to be on this verge at the moment of automating customer understanding versus the old world of marketing where you have your segments and you have your personas. So I want to understand, Justin, how you manage the data versus the fluff, so to speak, to continue your theme there from a Ryderwear perspective. How do you define the Ryderwear customer?
So, I mean, it's hard. Like, I'm a team of one, right? And our database across AU, US, and UK with the masters is over 1 million. So if you were to tell me how do I define a customer and how I split them into segments and personas, I think by myself, I just wouldn't be able to do it. I feel like a lot of people think they know what their customer is, but they're only guessing half the time. And like, you might join a I've worked for big companies, and you read this little deck that they put together. Our customer is this and this, and that deck was put together like 6 or 7 years ago. And like Tom said, that everything has changed since then. So what I'm doing is I'm relying on the tech that a Masters provides me, so I don't have to guess what my customer is.
Do you even bother trying to put them into segments now?
I mean, I do like you kind of cookie cutter stock standard segments, last purchase X amount of days ago, stuff like that, just to do ad hoc ones. But a lot of the time I rely on the AI capability that a Masters provides, that we're definitely going to go into later, where they're going to tell me when a customer is likely to convert or when a customer is likely to churn and stuff like that. And I rely on that because I don't have to guess, and I know it's going to be accurate. It's definitely going to be more accurate than me.
So do you worry about segments like the traditional, like you referred to there before, around, all right, this is Petro, he's 35 to 55, goes to his gym 3 times, is like 150K bench press, like versus Susan, who's there for the cardio. Do you care about that kind of segment, or is it more behavioral based?
It's probably more behavioral based, honestly. I do like to think, let's send this group an email because we know they're like focusing on bench and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, everyone is so busy. Are you really going to open up an email and be like, here are some tips? Like, I don't read that shit, honestly. Like, I know that my most engaged and best emails are the ones where I just provide products that they're going to resonate with. Like, I'm not going to send someone a life story about the gym and dieting tips when half of our consumers are like knowledgeable about that anyway.
Yeah. No Pedro Susan segments then. I think Nathan should come in and do some consultancy. Those could be winning ones, I reckon.
That's true.
I'm here all day. Tom, is that what you're seeing around the world, that there is this shift? Because I've worked in advertising agencies before, and I was that person who came in and went, here's your segments. Honestly, it wasn't a lot of data behind it, and we're talking 15, 20 years ago now. And there wasn't a lot of data, but it was based on observation and stereotypes a lot of the time. Are you seeing that there is that shift away from those personas into more behavioral-based audience segmenting?
Again, going back to the change that I've seen in the market, I would say that I think people knew or thought they knew that data was a currency years ago, but now it's fact, right? And so a lot of the decisions they're making, a lot of the segmentation, a lot of the augmentation around who to target, when to target, how to target is now so data-based. So yeah, I'm seeing a massive shift, and it's really the consumers that are forcing that change. When we do these big pieces of work where we get the customers of our customers to provide insights to us in order to open the eyes of our customers on what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And one of the stats that was just jumping out to me was the percentage of customers that would not engage with a brand if the communications wasn't personalized. And that's now up to 18%, where they would be like, if the message is generic, if it doesn't feel that it's right for me, I'm not going to engage. And that percentage is climbing up year over year. Consumers are demanding that message is timely, relevant, personalized, contains things that they're looking at. To Justin's point around products, are they the right products for that consumer? Are they actually going to resonate with? Is that customer actually going to love them? And if it's not, if your segmentation's off or your data's off, you're sending male products to a female audience, or you're sending a price point to a wrong price point, or you're going for last season stock, but your customer is someone that's constantly buying the latest stuff, you're not going to resonate, and you're actually going to end up risking that customer's engagement.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying there around giving those different examples of personalization from a content perspective, because personalization obviously isn't the dear first name anymore. It's the product, it's the timing, it's the content, it's everything. And it can get pretty complicated, right? Justin, you mentioned there identifying your most profitable segments or profitable target. I think it's probably not even right to call them segments anymore, but profitable points in that customer journey to be able to send that triggered communication. What times or what points are you finding to be most profitable for Ryderwear?
In terms of like when we should be sending out an email to someone?
Yeah, what kind of communications are getting the best bang for buck for you?
Yeah, there's a really handy AI segmentation that Masters provides, and that's likely to convert. And I use that to not only think about maybe if we're sending an email out with percentages off and vouchers and stuff, we can avoid that segment because, they're there. We can reward them in other ways with loyalty points and stuff like that. But, sending comms out to these types of people and using the product finders, the product AIs in the emails itself, the recommenders and stuff like that, I find the most profitable for us is actually, there's a lot of emails, a lot of companies that I see where a new collection drop will be the whole email. Then at the bottom, it will be products we might think you like, just at the bottom, right? And every brand treats it like the ugly sister. Like it's just, we'll just put it in there and we recycle it every single campaign, right? People don't realize that is the most profitable part of the email because they're products that person is resonating with, that they're browsing on. It looks at purchase behavior, browsing behavior, interest-based targeting, everything like that on your website. It feeds it to that. And that's the form of AI and product recommendations that a Masters uses. And when I actually put that at the top and I make that the hero piece, not this new drop that we've collabed with this person out in the Himalayas and they're this monk person and talk about the whole story about that. No one cares about that. If I put that module up at the top, that has increased revenue by at least 30% in every single campaign that I do. Then at the bottom. And I guarantee if you look at all these other emails, that module sits at the bottom of company's email. So for me, stuff like that is the most profitable.
If you're putting that module at the top of your communication and you might be sending, I'm putting words in your mouth, you tell me what it is, but 2-3 emails a week, whatever it is, how do you make sure that stays fresh and relevant, that it's not serving up the same product over and over again?
Yeah, so you can set rules to make sure that it's not the same, but then also I can change up the creative. So it might be a 3x3 block module, and then it might be like I just pepper in a product with a 2x2, so it'll be a collection drop. And then on the right side, it'll be like, you might like this, like next to it. So it kind of just looks like it complements it. So it's not always going to be the recycled look of it, but I always have different kind of like playbooks in me just drawing it out of that and be like, yep, I'll chuck it in this one, and then I'll just make sure I just always change it up like that.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I once worked with a CEO of a large retailer who didn't ever want that for you carousel near the top of the homepage because every time they logged in or logged onto the site, it showed them toilet brushes. Right. And we're like, we don't want our customers seeing our toilet brushes all the time.
But that's what they're buying.
Well, that's what she was looking at.
Yeah.
It's like, not everyone's seeing that. So there is a change.
Susan wants her toilet brushes. Don't ignore that segment.
But I understand, especially when you've got a curated, beautiful brand as well. Sometimes you want a little bit more control. So there is that change management piece to be able to show those results of what the personalized content or personalized product selection gives rather than just going on a brand hunch. Mm-hmm. Tom, what are you seeing if we've got people listening who are like, well, what are those triggers that I need to implement in my business based on customer journey points rather than segments that are really important times in that customer journey to hit them with personalized messaging?
Yeah, I'll go for kind of 2 campaigns for kind of 2 different types of businesses, I guess, in retail. The first one is like very treatment led. So I would say things like back in stock are fantastic for driving really profitable high levels of engagement, right? So customers on the website, they're looking at products, they've got there might be a certain amount of dwell time where they've been on a specific product, then they've abandoned it, or they've even gone that step further, they've added it to a wish list or their basket. Then you can do the abandoned basket campaign. But the one that I like, if it's out of stock, is that back in stock campaign. Super Beautiful. High levels of engagement, super high levels of conversion. and
not relying on a discount.
And not reliant on discount. Exactly. It's pure treatment, 100% treatment. And that is one of the out-of-the-box capabilities of Emarsys. So straight away, you can get that up and running. And then the other one, maybe for more of a discounting-led retailer, a business that a retailer or an e-commerce business that's more comfortable with discounting, you've got Price Drop. And Price Drop is also fantastic. So, that regular sync of data coming into the platform. And then again, customers, for whatever reason, they haven't converted, they haven't purchased that product, but then something changes. The merchandising or the buying team get it for a better price, or the business is prepared to make an offer or an incentive and sacrifice some margin on it. That price drops, and instantly that triggers to the customer and drives that engagement. And that's omni-channel. Can go out in a push notification, a text message, an email, on the website. And these things drive a lot of engagement, and that's behavioral. That's triggered. It's not a campaign,
Yeah, and I love that distinction between price-driven communication and intent-driven. Justin, you mentioned before around not sending unnecessary discounts to your most engaged customers. How do you do that? How do you manage that the people that that are going to buy at full price don't get discounts that they don't necessarily need to convert?
Well, the thing is though, I do hate doing that sometimes. I'm I have the whole idea of, you're a Telstra customer and you've been a Telstra customer for all these years, and yet they gave you a better bloody deal with new customers. You're like, where the fuck's the loyalty? Sorry, pardon my French. But
we love French here.
Yeah, we look at that, but we definitely reward them in other ways. We provide them exclusive kind of products. We offer them exclusive kind of deals around that. And, we definitely offer them really good rewards points. They're definitely a higher tier. So we kind of treat them in those ways as well. So we don't completely exclude them all the time in terms of those discounts, but, they'll be the first to know when a sale goes live, really high engaging products and stuff like that they will still get their discounts. But we also have that option to say, hey, look, we think they're not going to defect, so let's not put them in that defecting basket as well.
Makes a lot of sense. And your customers, I can imagine the data that you're getting is very different from a lot of retailers. Once you add in the in-store element plus the gym, the behavioral triggers that you're getting from people who are active, who might have dropped off their physical activity, are you incorporating all of that into your communications?
It's actually an exciting time because we're actually just starting to do that. So the gyms only rolled out 2 years ago, right? And then we were on this massive change from our old email provider to Emarsys. So we've got that completely right now. We're so happy on where we're going. So now the next piece is actually tying in the in-store data with online as well. And, that also is going to show how many times they've been working out at the gym, reward them, X amount of times. And, we're going to start opening up cafes at some of our gyms and stuff like that as well. So if you think about it, if you work out X amount of times, you get points to put towards coffees and stuff like that. So it's just the start of it. And you've got all these cool features like the wallet with the Emarsys, which you can just easily come and scan that. And then that can just trigger with your POS and bring up rewards points and stuff like that. So that's actually the next phase in what we're doing at the moment. So we've got the data coming in from people that have signed up at the gyms and stuff like that, feeding into Emarsys. But yeah, the next phase is then being able to use multi-points and that connection as well. So we're just exploring that right now.
That'll be next level, how personalized you'll be able to get with that content. Tom, you see examples all around the world, especially from omni-channel retailers. Are there any amazing retailers or examples that you've seen that are using different data points for customers from different touch points and incorporating them into an ultra personalized experience?
I think Justin just gave some fantastic ones just there. But yeah, when I'm looking at other organizations that are doing really innovative things, I'm looking at businesses also over in Australia like Pet Circle. So yep. I think the way in which they use treatment to dial up that customer experience is next level. I was actually speaking to one of the members of the team there. She's got a pet. She's a Pet Circle customer that's one of our customers as well. She'd ordered all of this food. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but the dog's on a diet. And so she's like, I've got surplus to requirement food here. So she got in touch with the customer, let them know. And instead of it just being like a wait till he's hungry, I guess, I don't know what the message would have been specifically for that. But the message was actually, you know what, here's an offer for your next food. Here's a bit of discount off. And here's where you can donate food to as well. And so they'd come up with these strategies that were actually semi-automated around customer treatment. So those are some of the data points. And the reason why I know it was more about what data points they're collecting, but they know the pet that she's got. They know the age, and they're doing some very EQ high campaigns around treatment in order to get their customers. So that's a really interesting data set.
I love that example. And it was interesting when we were talking to John, he was on the podcast from the Mumbrella event. He was saying, firstly, that there is a thing called Pet Ozempic that's coming out soon, so for pets and their health. But also his biggest worry from a customer data perspective is, who do we define as the customer? Because they have all this data collected on the pet, what breed they are, what name they are, how much they weigh. Is that the customer? Or is the owner the customer?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Another business that we did a roundtable event in the UK literally before I left for Australia. We have some fantastic brands that we work with around the table. So ones like Aspinall of London, Brand Alley that's been a customer of ours for many years. We had Bulk Powders that does supplements. And they're a really interesting business, right? So if you think about the supplements industry and, Ryderwear complementary to this with Bulk Powders, really, their main thing is like transparency of the product. So people are out there, they're buying their whey, they're buying their supplements in order to help them to develop into the athletes or even just help them with regular fitness or regular dietary things. And they're using all of that data to hyper-personalize the communication around what to buy next or what they might be interested in, because people that are purchasing from, they really care what's in that product. They want to make sure that it's geared towards them. So some super interesting data sets coming out of those areas as well.
Absolutely. Justin, Tom just mentioned semi-automated emails, and I'm really keen to hear from you. As a one-man CRM machine, how much time are you spending on automated emails versus kind of campaign emails?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. And I spoke about this at the Power to the Marketer event, that I think that automations, honestly, are your biggest key in driving stronger email revenue. And companies just don't understand that. Like, I remember speaking to someone at the Power to the Marketer event, and they said, the automations are great because they're so good because you can just set and forget it. And honestly, like, I nearly threw up in my mouth. I'm like, I can just imagine those people that an automation was set up 5 years ago and no one wants to touch it. All the new marketing people come in and they're like, oh yeah, these are our abandoned carts. And do you think anyone is going to proactively go in there and want to change things? Like, God forbid you break something, like especially with bigger companies, and you do something and then bloody, I don't know, people that work there in email marketing, they know what I'm talking about. You break something, the whole company knows about it. It's not just your boss, it's the manager and it's customer service coming to you. And like everyone knows. So no one wants to touch it. But with me, the great thing about my company is that with Ryderwear, I report directly to the owner and he gives me a license to do whatever I want because he backs me, right? And I spend all my time in automations, tinkering, A/B testing, and people think A/B test once and then that's it. Like with me, there's so many iterations of A/B testing. Our automation revenue when I first came on board was sitting at 30% and campaign revenue was at 70%. And now it's flipped. So automation is about 70% and campaign revenue is 30%. And for marketers out there listening to this, that's where you should be hitting. Spend less time on bullshit fluff, like I say, about subject lines, creative, like the amount of hours that I've spent wasting in meeting rooms with people talking about how an email should look. I could be spending those times and going, how can I improve this back in stock or abandoned cart or defective? How can I increase that by 2, 3, 4%? And then that is just recurring revenue that will then have a domino effect on everything else, right? That is just constant improvements every single week. And companies talk about the right message at the right time. They love saying that. That's their favorite buzzword, right message at right time. And yet they neglect their automations. The right message at the right time is your automations. Let me just say that for louder for the people in the back. They are your automations. It's not your fluffy new campaign drop, right? Because everyone might not be interested in that. It is your automations.
I love what you're saying there because campaigns, they are absolutely important at certain points, but they take so much blood, sweat, and tears to create, and they go out and then they die. And then that's it. Yeah. Move on to the next one.
Very good point, Nathan, because another thing that I've found that's really positive is how many times do you come up with a good campaign and then the email goes out and then you don't send it out again. It's like, oh, that was done 4 months ago, but it was a great campaign. something that I've done, working within the Masters platform, is identifying those good campaigns and then set them up as just an automation for new customers. And then if that product goes out of stock, maybe you can have rules to say, or stop automation, whatever. But why not recycle those campaigns? Like, don't send out a brand story when a new customer comes in with paragraphs that they're going to not even care about. Send them that good campaign that you sent out 4 months ago, and that will make more revenue than talking about how your founder started this company 20 years ago and he's now a millionaire and you feel like shit because you're sitting there reading that on the bus. You know what I mean? Like, why are you sending that information? Send out really good, high converting campaigns as recurring automations, and that's a great way to increase revenue as well.
Brilliant tip to make the most of those. Tom, are you seeing the same, that 70-30 split in terms of automation revenue versus campaign revenue around the world?
I mean, it's always a little bit subjective depending on the business type. But going back to just Justin's point there, we see it the same way. You've got the treatment campaigns automated that are waiting for the customer's interaction. And I refer to this now with predictive AI has been around for a very long time. Justin and the team at Ryderwear, they use a lot of our predictive AI capability, which is fantastic. That helps them to stay in front of customer demand and predict what's coming around the corner. Generative AI, everyone is looking at how to bring this into their organization, right? And for me, and I was speaking to this at the event and also with Justin, for me, generative AI helps businesses to keep up with what predictive AI has enabled for an output. So if you imagine, right, predictive AI is giving you all of these segments, all of these interactions, all of these areas you can follow up with. Generative now meets that growing list of areas where you can really meet the customer and enables you to automate the matching of content. And then obviously the brand, the identity, it's a large language model. You can put identity into that large language model and make sure that it meets with the right sentiment, the right tonation that matches that brand. And so that's what's interesting. So I think that the automated nature is going to increase because you're going to be able to be even more personalized. You're going to be able to keep up with that demand. There's always a place for those large, big campaigns. There's always going to be a place, right? That's where you can dial into brand sentiment. What are we about? But it's also a way of how can you get the perfect harmony between personalizing in those campaigns. And really, when I'm speaking to businesses, that's still something that's quite hard, especially if you've got strong founders and brand as well, which is ultimately why you get them to first engage. But how can you make those two worlds work seamlessly together?
And are you saying that generative AI is or is going to allow marketers to create totally unique content for each recipient?
Yes, I do see that. Now, obviously, we're in an area at the moment where people are testing and learning, right? And there's a lot of sensitivity around, how much content do you want to leave to the generative AI engine? And that will come with trust. I'm definitely not saying it's going to replace the photo shoots of taking the perfect picture of the perfect product that the business is trying to sell. I'm definitely not saying that. But what I'm saying is things like we're experimenting with. So like one-to-one subject line generation, finding products. So rather than Justin goes into the Amasys platform, he's got hundreds and hundreds of products. How can he quickly find the right products for that campaign type at a one-to-one level, but also explain to the large language model, like, I'm looking for products that are going to fit within this campaign. How helpful can Amasys be at recommending those products or giving a shortlist? These are some of the things where you're meeting the machine with the human element, which I've always been a huge fan of.
Yeah, that's exciting. I like that. Justin, I'm interested to go back to what you were saying about your A/B testing, because I could imagine with all the data and all the AI capabilities around you that your A/B testing looks a lot different to what it might have even looked like 24 months ago, where you're going, is it subject A versus subject B? These are what I came up with. What's your process now for A/B testing, especially when it comes to email marketing?
Yeah, so for me, I actually have an A/B testing monthly calendar, and I come up with all these different ideas of how we can just tinker and improve the automation. So for example, one month I might fixate on price point in the email versus no price point. Because for me, less information in the email equals more curiosity, and they want to click through the email to find out more. So I've figured out that not having a price point in a lot of my products at the top is better because it's going to generate more clicks. 2x2 products next to each other versus 3x3, larger hero products versus smaller headers versus larger headers versus no CTAs, UGC content versus the content that we provide. So like honestly, I do that every single month. I come up with all these different tests that I can do. I scour the internet to see what other companies are doing. And then I just run these series of tests over 3 or 4 weeks, 50-50 split. I compare the campaigns, and then I'll go, okay, abandon cart emails. We can maybe look at pulling UGC images in instead of the products on the website. How has that increased revenue and click rates? And obviously the more clicks, as a marketer, I don't really look at how much more revenue sometimes I generate. That's obviously a big thing, but I'm in the business of selling clicks. Like, I'm leading a horse to water. It's up to the e-commerce team to make them drink when they land on the website. So if my email is generating more clicks, then I've done my job. You know what I mean? So all these little things have just slowly increased my click rate, open rates, click rates, just by these A/B testings. And I think a lot of marketers just think A/B testing equals subject lines. You know, they think one product versus another, but it's also the whole layout of it. Like, I just had an idea of the product recommendation module at the bottom to the top. I just had that random idea. I'm like, this is a really good module. Let's just see what happens when I just play around with it and it pays off. So it's just those kind of ideas that you can come up with. Set yourself a calendar and just stick to that on like a monthly basis. And then you can report back to the business and it's fun. Hey, look what, how much extra now I've generated more clicks.
How often are you right? Because I could imagine you set these up and you go, I think this one's going to win. You kind of have what you think is going to be the winner. How often are you right?
If I'm wrong, I just don't tell the business that I ran this split test and it's wrong. No, I'm joking. To be honest, Nathan, I think there's like a Bruce Lee quote about this, about being not right or wrong. It's all learnings or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never wrong because it's always a learning, because now I've learned what not to do. You know what I mean? Like, oh, great. I thought that maybe having price point or something in the email would be better, but it's not, So I see it always as a win because it's like a learning that you learn. And it's something to then avoid to your next email. But look, if we want to be right or wrong about that, I would say I'm right maybe about 70% of the time. I think that's
good
fair.
Strike rate.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I love the growth mindset, Justin, as well. That test and learn philosophy. It's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
There's no losers. There's just lessons.
Yeah, if only I could apply that to my everyday life. I'm like that. I'm like an overthinker. So if only I could just do that everywhere else.
Tom, you mentioned, obviously we've mentioned a few of the AI capabilities from Amasis, especially when it comes to being able to predict audience intention to purchase, but also products that might be able to shown at the right time. From a content perspective in email, what are you finding as the best performing new features or new opportunities for retailers that are standing out for you?
When it comes to our technology,
yeah,
I mean, there's a huge channel mix, right? So email is one component of an omni-channel strategy. The best results are coming from businesses that we work with, organizations that we're working with, like Ryderwear, where they're combining a huge amount of the channel real estate. I'm still amazed at the amount of companies where social isn't connected to CRM and digital, or paid sits in a slightly different area to digital as well. They don't necessarily meet on a weekly, a monthly, or a quarterly basis. I'm always surprised by that, because the value that you can get by combining email with TikTok, email with Instagram, or the wider meta channels, the value you can get by increasing bids on keywords, by syncing it to CRM data, the results speak for themselves. Then if you're an organization that has omni-channel themselves, so they've got a mixture of whether it's a gym, a store, a pop-up, being able to use channels like mobile wallet to be able to increase not just the treatment of customers, but also the identification. If there's a gym goer that's going into a Ryderwear gym weekly, and you can use that data set to be able to tailor their email, their social, their push, their website experience, reward them for that experience, you're just going to see more results. And so it's actually the combination of channels, the combination of experience, and really making sure it's consistent that we're seeing driving the best results. So it's less features, it's more for us being able to use that whole omni-channel real estate. Now, don't get me wrong. We've got amazing features as well, right? We've got product finder, subject line generator, recommendations. We've got ways to automatically include loyalty strategies seamlessly into every channel. So we've got features galore, but it's all about looking at the customer, where they're interacting, the goals you're looking to output, that's really driving the results.
I'm keen to unpack that a little bit more because we've talked a lot about email, and I think most people can get their heads around what an email platform looks like. But when you talk about personalizing communications in other channels, what specific communications are you talking about?
Yeah, so Emarsys now for 5 years on the run has been the leader in personalization in our segment of customer engagement. So we obsess over the ability to personalize. Personalization across channels is always dependent on what that channel is. So email, you can personalize absolutely everything, images, content, subject, like the whole thing can be personalized. What it looks like on mobile, what it looks like on desktop, all of these avenues can be personalized to the consumer. Then you've got things like inside the app. I think app personalization is such a game changer, right? So, you can take over real estate in the app, flip it out based on around engagement, automatically hook that personalization into those platforms. The in-app inbox, the personalization when it comes up onto the screen when you receive a notification, and to the point where I'm going to talk about it again, but mobile wallet, because I've been going into retailers for years and years and years, and the problem is, how do we seamlessly identify more consumers in store? I know that the pandemic did huge amounts of change, but one thing that it revived was the QR code, right? I mean, that one came back with a vengeance. And inside mobile wallet, whether it's a barcode, whether it's a QR code, being able to seamlessly scan that and then be able to drive that personalization, but also inside the wallet. I mean, Nathan, say you're going into the Ryderwear gym, and on your Ryderwear inside your wallet for going into Ryderwear, it says Nathan is a gold Ryderwear customer or whatever we designate. His loyalty points are X. These are the things that he most likes to engage with in the gym, or this is what his fitness regime is working out. Being able to personalize on the pass, all of these things are huge opportunities when it comes to actually activating personalization.
And just for the record, I'm probably more of a Susan than a Petro, but but are you talking about, when you talk mobile wallet, just because I'm very visual, are you talking about in Apple Pay, in your wallet, that you've got a card that might be set up for Ryderwear that's personalized just for you?
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. And also just being able to update those as well as you go through your loyalty tiers, your loyalty process, or also the amount, whatever the business is determined that experience changes based on. But yeah, you've got it exactly, whether it's the Android, whether it's the Google, or Apple passes, being able to show that, and it's actually got personalization on it, personalized to you as the consumer.
Very cool.
And that also includes like offers and stuff like that. So we can, we're working now with Emarsys to say, like, how can we best personalize this as an experience? So like, if you imagine walking to our gyms and then, we can set it up with, it knows that we're in the gym, right? So then you get an offer saying, hey, you haven't shopped with us for a while, and a push notification comes through on your phone, and that offer can show up in the wallet. So that's like, imagine like 20% off leggings or something like that, when we know that this customer loves buying leggings, and then they're in the store at the gym about to work out, and then they see all these leggings. So, and it's triggering when they actually enter the gym. And not just with wallet, like a really good personalization in the different channel that we use. And it's honestly been a lifesaver, and that's web channel for us. And what web channel is you can just think of different templates and ways that you can actually show a message on our website, and it's personalized and tailored to that customer. So something that I've done really well is, for example, I looked at how many defecting and inactive customers that we have and how many of them have actually unsubscribed, right? We can't send them out an email comms to say, hey, come back and here's 20 or 30% or $50 off your next order, right? We can't send them an email. So what I've done is I've set up web banner campaigns at the top, and a little message can just show and say, Justin, like, we miss you. Here's $40 off your next order. And that unique code that is set up to that customer actually displays personalized on that banner, right? And then I speak to the social team, and like Tom said, there's that big connection between social and CRM. I tell the social guys, I go, hey, I'm running this campaign. Let's do some creative, and say, hey, there's a $50 offer waiting for you on the website. Like, click now to see it. So then for all these defective and inactive customers that have unsubscribed that we can't normally communicate to, that everyone forgets about because it unsubscribes and unsubscribe. No, you can still contact them in different ways. So I keep saying Susan. Let's just stick to Susan.
Nathan's fault. We got to blame Nathan for that. Honestly,
I'm sorry.
Susan lands on a Instagram and says, "You've got $50 off waiting for you on the website," and it's like, "Oh wow, I'm going to click it and see where it is." She clicks it, And then the banner just pops up at the top, Susan, here's your code to put in the checkout. And then she makes that checkout. And then hopefully as a business, you've got the auto tick box subscribing into your email comms, whatever. And then that just you've just recycled her back into your flow. You know what I mean? And that's different ways that we've been using the Masters tech. Like this web banner feature, I haven't used in any other company because I don't think it actually exists. So when, my customer success manager says, hey, I reckon this would be good for you, I looked at different case studies and I was like, wow, this could actually definitely benefit us. And it did.
And I'm not doing this as a planted question. I'm genuinely curious because when Tom talks about mobile wallet, you talk about web push, talk about social integration. I can imagine there's a lot of people going, like ideas left, right, and center can become overwhelming. From an implementation perspective, Justin, you mentioned that you're a one-man band. How hard is it to get your head around to get this into market while you're doing everything else?
It's not hard. Do you know what is hard? What is hard is being in a big company with heaps of political barriers, and it takes I'll give you an example. I was at this big company, right? I wanted to get STO, send time optimization, implemented. It was a 6-month process of talking to, the data team about how there could be potential breach. And I'm like, who cares? It's like Susan opens up her emails at 12 p.m. That's data. I don't care. To me, I just work at a company where we're fast, we're seamless, and the biggest barrier is when there's more people involved and then they just cause issues and red tape and obstacles for the sake of it. I'm a one-man team. I honestly think it's easy for me because I can just call the boss and go, yep, I'm doing this. He goes, great. And then I work with a customer success manager. If there's any obstacles, I just email them to get back to me instantly, and then I can do it. I'm no dev whiz. I've got a background in IT, but I'm not this amazing kind of guru when it comes to tech. I know what I'm talking about, but at the end of the day, it's for me the easiest part is because I don't have a lot of obstacles, I think, to push back.
So your advice is just to lock the door and shut everyone else out of the platform.
100%, and just do it, and then let the data speak for itself. Honestly, I think a lot of companies are so worried about changing, implementing new things. We're so adaptive to change. We talk about change and what's coming, but we're so resistant to it. And a lot of it is it's hard because you have these companies that they do have that red tape. But yeah, I find that the smaller companies I've worked for with the smaller team, we've just been adaptive to it. And I think that's what has been the most successful, because a lot of people ask me, how do you get all the success done being a one-man team? It's because I don't have to have 20 other people to get approvals. I just get it done.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is all the tools are there. The tech's there, ready to go. You've just got to actually knuckle down and make some decisions and get it implemented.
Well, that's why I asked. I asked Tom, and I was just like, and my customer success manager, I was like, why aren't other companies doing what I'm doing? And they're like, the tech is there. They just aren't utilizing it. It's there. So that's what separates, those companies.
Some of the things that we're working on, so that I couldn't agree with Justin more, but Justin's also in there. Just how much more can I get? How much more capability? How much more personalized? How much more automated can I go for? So I always love listening to Justin talk about how he's pushing the technology to work with him and his organization. The way in which we're helping some of those larger organizations is actually taking kind of Justin's way of thinking around that agile test and learn approach and helping them to think about it. So if there's a new emerging technology, can we try it on a smaller market? Can we try it on a subset? Can we try it on an audience or an area or maybe even a brand where the results aren't as good if they're a multi-brand retailer or if they're a multi-brand business? And some of those things are helping to show if you go down this path, these are the results, these are the amazing results that can come with it. So I think there's really something in that test and learn approach and being agile and fluid to actually bringing on more things. But when your business is maybe on the conservative or the risk averse side, how can we de-risk and how can we mitigate that so that you're not left behind? We don't want those businesses becoming laggards. We want them to be still at the forefront and the tip of the spear.
All I'm hearing is that there's a newer Masters feature coming, which is the what would Justin do GPT bot that anyone can access.
How did he find out? How did he know?
Yeah.
You know that old Microsoft Word with the paperclip on the thing? How can I help you? It's just going to be me with my face on it. Like, how can I help you? You just write to me, and I just get really...
Just
watch
a
this.
bot
Watch
with,
this.
with great hair, and fake glasses.
Correct. Let's not talk about these fake glasses, Nathan.
Oh, no, give away your secret. Tom, when we were at Power to the Marketer earlier this year in Melbourne, the conversation that we had, which I thought was really interesting and seems like the next evolution, was about almost conversational communication. We've talked a lot about one-way communication here, pushing messages out. Do you see a point soon where there'll be an expectation of, no, don't just push me a message. I expect to interact with these messages?
Yeah. So this is where I see, this is the vision really. I see every single communication, every single interaction moving towards that way of continuing a conversation with a customer. At the center, right? Justin will know it well, but at the center, at the core of Vimarsys, there's the personalization service, and then there's the area where you can do interactions. And this is becoming more and more powerful as the days and the weeks go on, right? So every single interaction that a customer makes can be used in order to change an action, a word, the inbound, the outbound to that customer. And it's becoming increasingly more conversational. And customers like Ryderwear, they're really pushing that and helping us to actually bring that to life. So yeah, an email goes out, you respond, imagine a world where you could just respond to that email. It seamlessly goes into the push, the audiences automatically update. That's how we are thinking about it. And I think that's where marketing's going. It also brings in that service dimension as well to it, right? If you've got a customer that maybe they returned a product for whatever reason, or my pet circle example from earlier, all of that can be used to quote unquote continue the conversation with the customer. And I'm incredibly excited about that future coming to reality and us making it a reality for our customers.
I think you're absolutely right. And it is going to be a customer expectation, whether we want it or not. I'm just thinking from a marketer's perspective, that's going to scare the shit out of a lot of marketers, because instead of just going, oh, my job's done, it almost blends the worlds of customer service, product into one space of marketing. Justin, how do you see that rolling out? Does it just mean that your wider team have to be involved then, that it can't just be a marketing function when we're communicating with our customers?
I think so, yeah. And like at the end of the day, all these techs and everything like that, it's just going to enhance us to make better decisions. I think, Nathan, you were mentioning about engagement and expecting to engage with these comms. And like a simple segment, touching back on the segmentation of things that I use is with the AI tech that Vimarsys provides, is there's a segment called likely to engage, right? And they could be likely to engage with SMS, likely to engage with email. So you can use these different engagement pieces across those different channels. And I've been using that for all my emails. And like, it's scary because when you look at how big your database is and what you normally are used to, we always used to do has engaged in the last 120 days or something like that. That was just a cookie cutter thing. And when you ask people what target do you use, they say likely to engage 200 days or something like that. And you ask them why, and they go, I don't know, we've always been doing that. So now I can use likely to engage, right? And to be honest, it cuts your audience by quite a bit. And it's scary as an email marketer because you see an audience for that email go from 140,000 down to like 60,000 or 50,000. And there's this scary thing is if I send it to less people, it's going to generate less money, right? And when you look at it from the start, and I've done a lot of A/B testing with this, and I said, all right, let's send one email with likely to engage 50 to that, and then test it, and all the other people that would have potentially missed out on that email, let's send it to them, and let's send it over 40 or 50 different campaigns, and let's just tally everything up. And I did it across maybe 40 to 50 different campaigns. And at the end of the day, if you look at it side by side, the more those people, if I had sent to more people, would have made more money, right? But then if you look at it from an unsubscribe point of view, the amount of unsubscribes that I got from that likely to engage versus those other people that I just bring in, it was insane. I hardly got any unsubscribes from the likely to engage. And then if you put a dollar value on your subscribers, which a lot of marketers don't,
yep.
And then I incorporated that into the revenue and the profit of the emails at the end of the day, it was insane. It was insane. I was just like, why are we sending out to all these people? Like, it might look like you're making more money, but if you run it across 50 different campaigns, all those unsubscribes that you've just collected has just removed a chunk of your revenue, but people don't implement. Yeah, people don't use that statistic and put it in their bottom line. They just think, email A, email B, look at the revenue difference. Then they forget about the unsubscribe. So that whole engagement piece, and sorry, I think I've sidetracked from your question a bit, but
no, I love it. The theme is playing the long game here, right? And whatever. Not to say, I almost said the right channels at the right time, but it kind of counteracts what you were saying earlier.
Correct. Yeah. But it's an awesome feature and stuff like that. And it's just that engagement piece, because I know that these people are going to be engaged. Like, it's taking the guessing work out. Because I said to that person at the marketing event, I was like, why do you send it to 120 days engaged? And like, we've always just been doing that. So we need to change that mindset to think it's not about what always we've been doing, but just allowing the data to tell us what we should be doing. And at the end of the day, that's going to be your best bet.
Beautiful. Justin, Tom, so many great tips in here. Like, I think there was at least 6 tips that I hadn't heard before, which you can take away, whether you're using a master or other platforms. If you're in email CRM, there's so much in there. And we've heard a lot about the Masters platform and how you're powering your marketers to make those right decisions for the business. If I could ask you to make one recommendation or tip for e-commerce or CRM managers in better understanding and communicating with their customers, what would it be? Justin?
I probably would say spend more time in the data and just allow those decisions to change how you think, and don't let your brand and your company dictate what you think, because it's no coincidence that when we try to start focusing on branding and everything like that, we went backwards. But when we started allowing the data to tell us pretty much who to target, what to do, my A/B testing results, use that as the conversation piece, because data doesn't lie. So if there's people in your business where they go, we're not going to do that because this is what we do, let's just say, hey, let's just A/B test it. To Tom's point, let's just test it on a small sample size and allow the data to speak and have fun with it. To say, if you're right, I owe you a coffee, whatever. Like, I like to have fun with it. If people like to kick back, because people are resistant to change. So my advice, start small with those changes, test it on a small subset. If you do work with those companies that have a lot of pushback, and then look to roll it out and speak. Let the data speak.
And put a coffee line in your budget.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. Love it. Can get expensive.
Tom, what about you? One tip?
I think Justin actually delivered, 2 in 1 there, which is fantastic, right? He said, look at the data and see what that tells you on the customer, but then also test and learn. Mine would be actually leaning into that latter point, which is testing and learning, right? If you want to get increased customer engagement, try new channels, experiment with new ways of driving customer engagement, try a mixture of treatment, brand, but also try a mixture of programmatic and automated, and also bring campaigns in that maybe you're taking inspiration from other areas, not just specifically in retail, but how are other industries looking at driving personalization? There's a real big focus on NPS, and it's always been around, but I see NPS and service and satisfaction becoming much more of a marketing metric. And so when you said earlier that could put off some marketers because it's maybe blurring the lines, I actually think that those lines are already blurred. I think that marketing and service goes hand in hand, and how people are testing and learning with data to optimize their customer engagement strategy. We're just seeing fantastic results. Ryderwear is a prime example of this. So I would say my top tip: test and learn, and don't be afraid to try new things.
Beautiful. Well put. All right, wrapping up, I'm going to ask you both to tell us what you're most excited about in your organizations that's coming up over the next 12 months, and then how people can get in touch with you if you're open to it. Justin?
Yeah, I think my point earlier, what I touched on about incorporating the gyms and the online data, I don't think there's many gyms exist where they reward you for working out and offering loyalty points and coffees and all this stuff. So definitely tying that together is definitely very exciting for us. And, using all the features that a Masters provides, like the loyalty, the wallet, the pushes and everything like that. So I think that's definitely the most exciting thing for us moving forward. If you want to get in touch with me, you just look me up on LinkedIn, Justin Bausch, and send me a friend request. And I guarantee you our conversations won't be about fluff and buzzwords and marketing. I'm pretty to the point.
I love it, Justin. I appreciate, how honest, upfront, and helpful you've been today. So thank you for that. Tom?
Yeah, so we've got a few things I'm incredibly excited about. The first one is our Power to the Marketer Festival that's continuing to roll across the globe. So we've completed our one in Munich. We've got our ones coming up, obviously Australia, over here in September. So I'm looking forward to coming over again and meeting up with more customers. So that's one component. And the other one is just our AI-infused roadmap and getting to that, that one-to-one conversational area of focus that we were just discussing a little bit earlier. I'm incredibly excited to see all of the innovation that's coming up in this area because we're thinking differently about how to communicate and drive engagement with customers. So two things there. Not one, I cheated a little bit.
If you need any help in Munich or anywhere like that with the event, just give me a call.
Oh, always. You're on speed dial, my friend.
Thank you. Best way to get in touch and learn more about the Masters platform?
Yeah, look, LinkedIn always is an easy way to just connect with me. Feel free to shoot me a message, but then also, go to the Masters website. My contact details are all on there. Yeah, I'm always available to having conversations about how to help businesses grow and how to push the boundaries when it comes to customer engagement using our technology as well.
Lovely. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Justin. That was a great chat. So much practical advice in there and exciting, I think, for anyone listening to this, thinking about new ways to approach and engage with customers. They're packed full of tips. So thank you both for sharing today. Been a wonderful chat.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, Nathan.
See, when I told you it was practical, I meant it. What a combo. Someone senior like Justin, who is hands-on across all parts of the customer journey, joined by Tom, who is seeing best practices from around the globe with an eye on future-proofing retail businesses. I really enjoyed that one. Like I said at the start, if you enjoyed today's episode and you want more content like it from other Masters customers around the globe and industry experts, make sure you sign up to their Power of the Marketer online omnichannel and AI masterclass on the 12th and the 13th of June. You can get access to those 2 days packed full of content at emarsys.com. The link is in the events section at the bottom of the homepage or in our show notes. Also, keep an eye out for the Sydney Power to the Marketer event, which is happening on the 12th of September. I was at the Melbourne one last year, and that's where you heard our conversation with Darren from Total Tools. If you want more like that, make sure you go request a demo from a Masters or just make friends with them. See if you can get yourself a ticket to this year's in Sydney. Before we go, I want to wrap up with 3 lessons from our chat. Number 1, lead with personalized products. Don't hide that personalized product recommendations on your emails or your websites, or don't use them as filler. Lead with them. Even though they might not be the most exciting thing that you want to talk about, your customers love them and they convert. Lead with personalized products. Number 2, fuel the automated machine. If more than 50% of your emails are manual campaign emails, you're doing it wrong. Make sure you understand the customer journey and add timely, relevant, automated emails for customers based on their journey. And if you have campaigns that do really work, find ways to introduce them into your automation. Number 3, leverage AI for long-term relationships. We heard Justin talk about Masters' AI ability to identify customers who are most likely to purchase next. While that segment might be lower in number, they are hyper-relevant. By protecting your audience from irrelevant emails, you will improve deliverability, reduce unsubscribes, and really get their attention when you need it. Thanks for joining us today on Add to Cart. To listen to all our e-commerce conversations, now in the hundreds, you can head on over to addtocart.com.au. There, you can also join up to our free private Slack community to share e-commerce ideas, tips, and questions with other listeners. You can also subscribe to the Add to Cart weekly newsletter and browse some of the video highlights from our chats. There is a lot there. That's addtocart.com.au. And if I can ask you one thing before you go, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you share it with a friend or a colleague who could benefit, or leave us a review. It really makes a difference. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep those customers adding to cart.